5, Walnut Road, keep it up.
Whoa, great!
Oh no, big mistake! Edwards got back to us and down to 10. No, now he's gone. It has been an absolutely astonishing season.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Formula Sim Racing. We've just had a very exciting pro race. That's the third tier. We're now up to the second tier. This is the FSR ACE Championship, again from the Suzuka circuit. The very interesting figure of 8 Suzuka circuit. Very fast, very technical, very difficult. And today we have 20 plus quick drivers tackling the circuit and going at it for the top spot. I'm going to be joined in the comms box today by Race 1 pole sitter, Cameron Rodger. Hello, Cameron.
Hello everyone. Yeah, got pole earlier on today. Not quite as good in the race, but firstly I'll give you some good insights as to what the drivers will be thinking as they go for it.
Yes, very good. So we're in qualifying now. This was the session you topped, of course, in Race 1. What does it take to do the quickest qualifying lap here? What's this track like?
Well, it's a very quick circuit, so you really need a car that's actually quite stable throughout the corners. Because if you're going through, especially the first sector, and if the back end's stepping out when you're trying to get on throttle and all sort of that sort of stuff, it's really not good. You really need just a calm car that you can just drive. Wait, yeah, basically just get in and drive it. You don't want something that's making you work for it like other tracks. And obviously you have to just have to push like mad to try and eke out every single 10th, because it really counts in these championships. As we can see, Panzar's only got pole by 100th of a second from Giordano Valeriano, our championship leader right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still pretty close, but let's have a look at Panzar's lap here, because he's on a quick one. He's just set the fastest second sector time of anyone at all as he crosses the line now. And does not go faster, so it looked as if he was going to improve. In the end, he didn't quite, because his third sector wasn't quite as quick, but still a 1:26.808 is topping the times from Robin Panzar so far. Can you remember what your pole time was?
It was 26.95.
Right, so we're already quicker than the pro cars so far, and that shows that these ace drivers are right on it so far, as Lucas Schmidt just puts in a quicker lap, very similar to the pro pole time, but stays fourth for now. He's got about 2 more attempts if he wants them left in this session. One driver who was racing in race 1 actually was Victor Ivanov. He's back and he's racing currently for 3rd place in this qualifying session. He's not on a hot lap now. He's just setting up for one. But Ivanov, of course, climbed many places in race 1 to finish 4th after starting from the pit lane. It was a fantastic recovery, and he's definitely one driver to look out for. Let's watch him as he starts this lap here and shows us this Suzuka circuit. So it starts off with a difficult but very fast double right-hander. That's turn 1. Now we head through the S's up the hill. It's a left there, it's a right there, then it's another left and another right and another left again, with the final left being the very long turn 7 Dunlop curve. Has an awkward bump in the middle. A lot of cars were getting unsettled over this crest here, but Victor Ivanov, no problems for him this time round. Now through the Degners, flies over the curb and goes wide. He's in the gravel. So unfortunately, that's a spoiled lap there for Victor Ivanov. He's run through the gravel, and unfortunately, he's lost that lap. I'm just wondering who we can pick up here to show us the rest of the circuit. No one's quite in that position on the track yet. But anyway, that was an attempt from Victor Ivanov, which unfortunately he ended up getting wrong. As oh, incidentally, Ton van Egmond there just set the fastest third sector of anyone, but his overall lap was only good enough for 12th. So he's fantastic in the third sector, not quite so good in the first or second. In fact, let's watch Tom van Egmond now and see what he can do in the other sectors of the lap. Because surely, if he can do sector 3 so quickly, he can find some time in sectors 1 and 2. He's currently in the S's. I'm not sure whether he's well. He must be pushing because it's not on an 8 lap. So Van Egmond going for it. He's just going through the Degners now. This is where we left Ivanov. Now up towards a difficult, tight left-hand hairpin. The difficulty about this is putting the power down on the exit because you're going from a really low gear, a lot of revs, and the wheels are spinning. So it's difficult to keep control of that on the exit. Now through Spoon, first apex. There's the curb. Now second apex, and the second curb as we accelerate down the straight towards 130R, the very first left-hander. We saw a fantastic move for the lead of the race in race 1 here, and it looks to me as if Tom van Egmond's backing off here. That's certainly not a fast 130R. He has indeed backed out of the lap. I think he's just setting up for another one here as he goes through the chicane, and now he floors it and goes through the final corner to start another hot lap. Where do you think the most awkward corners on the track are? What's there to really catch out the drivers? I saw a couple of interesting slides through the final corner and turn 7 especially. But which corner or corners do you think would be the most difficult here?
In qualifying, turn 1 is certainly quite difficult because as you're turning in there, most drivers will be keeping the DRS open, so the rear end's gonna want to sort of over-rotate a little bit, so that is quite difficult, keeping DRS open through turn 1. Apart from that, as you say, this hairpin that Ton is at now is really difficult to get the power down, especially in quali boost. And yeah, Ton's spinning up the wheels there. And then probably the third corner that's really difficult is this Spoon corner that he's coming up to. Double left-hander, you've really got to take the speed in on this first one. Try not to go out too wide because you get stuck on that curb. Get the nose in and then just power out through the exit, and that is really difficult when the tyres are already starting to give up a bit of grip coming towards the end of this lap. And as we now come through 130, are easily flat out now, no issues whatsoever. Down into the final chicane, get all over the curb on the inside. Both apexes, there we go. Try and keep it flat through this final corner. The rear's trying to go round, get the DRS open at the line, and where can he go? It improves a little bit up to 11th place.
Yeah, he displaces Adriano Opportuni while he's doing it rather. I should point out, we've also just had a third place time put in there by Dylan Scrivens with the fastest third sector of anyone. It's a 126.883. And since I last mentioned him, Robin Panzer has also improved his gap and therefore his lead. It's now a 126.673 that's his fastest lap, and that is over a tenth of a second ahead of Giordano Valeriano in second. So Panzer still pushing, Scrivens up to third, and a very decent decent set of laps up the front there.
Oh, just went on with Opportunity, and one of the Neosoft guys getting out of the way on the back straight, but that was a bit awkward for him. And Opportunity actually running the halo like a couple of other people are in the field. Still a bit of an anomaly to see that, but he comes around the final corner, currently in 12th place. Can he improve his lap time? Yes, he can, up to 10th place.
Interestingly, we have a lot of championship contenders missing today, which is a massive shame because it really spoils the championship. But I don't see... Oh, wait, we don't have a... Actually, I've just spotted Lucas Schmidt. I thought he was missing. He's not. However, we are missing... the third place... the third place driver in the championship, who is Davide Schiappini. Schiappini is not here yet, or not here. I don't know if he's going to be here at all, but unfortunately... Third place in the championship, Davide Schiappini, is not here. However, luckily, second place, Lucas Schmidt, and first place, Giordano Valeriano, are definitely here. Valeriano actually has a very decent lead in the championship. He has got 157 points over Lucas Schmidt's 119, which isn't massive, but it's over one race wins points tally, meaning that Valeriano can afford to make a mistake at this stage in the championship, and Lucas Schmidt absolutely cannot. So this is where it really matters for Schmidt. And talking of Valeriano, he is now absolutely flying on this lap. Let's watch him coming out the final corner. This is a challenge for pole position. And as he crosses the line, oh, so close. Just 300ths of a second, not even that, off Robin Pansar at the top of the order. It's a 126.703, which is just 0.029 off Pansar. Very close up the front of the order. It looked like it might have been pole, but in the end, he's going to have to settle for an extremely close second place for now.
Yeah, Valeriano he's had such a weird season. At the beginning of the season, he was so good. Won a couple of races, always at the top, and then middle part of the season, he just sort of disappeared almost, just out of nowhere. Always sort of lower parts of the top 10, but it seems like he is back now. And as we get into the warm-up, we'll have a look, and I think there's actually a possibility he could win the championship this weekend if things go badly for championship competitors. But we'll have a look at that in. But for now, it's P2 and only 300ths of a second behind Robin Panzar, and I think just about to start its final attempt with 30 seconds to go on the clock. Let's have a look, see if he can make a challenge for pole position today.
Yeah, indeed, Valeriano can win the championship today, but I'll tell you more about that in warm-up. But for now, we're looking at the last couple of laps. The checkered flag is about to come out, and the first lap I noticed, which is a proper challenge, is Geoffrey Fournier's. Geoffrey Fournier has started his hot lap, and he is flying in the first sector. He's pushing in the second. We're about to see that second sector time coming in. He just needs to complete spoon and then navigate the straight, and then we'll see what it is. Meanwhile, Dylan Scrivens is also going quickly, and Pansar's put in the fastest first sector of anyone at all. So Pansar's pushing, Scrivens is pushing, Fournier's pushing, Schmidt is pushing.
Dylan Scrivens spun in front of Robin Panzar there, but I don't think that made too much of a difference. Actually, Jeff Fournier, let's get on board with him. He has just done the purple middle sector, the Frenchman. Very good driver. Hasn't had quite the best races so far, but can he put it on pole today with a purple middle sector? Let's see what he can do. Yes, he puts it on pole. The Frenchman goes on provisional pole position, but Robin Panzar might have something to say about that. He's got a purple sector of his own in the first sector. What can he do in the second sector? He's purple in the second sector again, and just one chicane to go. Can he get it on pole position yet again after his pole position last time out in Singapore? Come around the final corner, bit squiggly on the rear end, gets right down on the inside. Can he go to pole position? Yes, he can by 2/10. 2/10 of a second. What a lap that is by Robin Panzar. Bloody hell.
That is absolutely fantastic. Apologies for the language, but yeah, fantastic lap from Pansar, going to the top of the order by over 0.2 of a second from Fournier. The gap as Fournier crossed the line was just 0.004 of a second. Now it's 0.231, and Pansar has a very clear pole position here from Fournier, Valeriano, Schmidt, Rodger, Scrivens, Ivanov, Godek, Parvez, Opacini, Van der Neert, Nayam, Siravatsky, Chatsapantelis, Brunansky, Behrens, Roslan, Morville, and then we have three drivers not setting laps, probably due to penalties, and those are Kian White, who is one of the quickest drivers on the grid and definitely one to look out for in the race, and then Phil Kreis and Giuseppe Laino. So we're now going for a 10-minute warm-up session before the start of this race. The drivers will be getting one last chance to view this track and just feel how the car is going to be handling at the start of the race before they're tasked with pushing it. And that was a very interesting qualifying session, wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, that was quite a surprising session actually to see Jeff Fournier up there. So he's obviously got some good pace because he's sort of been parts of the top 10, not challenging for race wins, but hey, it's to be challenging. But we'll just take a couple of ad breaks and then back to discuss, as I said, championship aspirations for Valeriano, whether he can win it today or not. And yeah, so we'll be back in.
Hey man, I got that new TMX Thrustmaster wheel. It's going down.
Xbox One?
I can't wait to play when I get home.
Yo, let me play.
Yeah, I play first. Yeah.
You know, I'll race it for it.
Well, I have it handy.
Do you want a more immersive experience? Thrustmaster T150 force feedback racing wheel. Official PS3 and PS4 licenses, and also PC compatible. Rubber coated wheel grips. 1080 degrees of rotation. Adjustable force feedback. Large metal sequential pad. Optimized ergonomic design. Mixed belt, pulley, and gears system. Thrustmaster. Enter into the real driving world.
Sizable not round, keep it up.
Whoa, great!
Oh no, big mistake! I had to go back one and down to 10. Now he's over.
It has been an absolutely astonishing season.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Formula Sim Racing Ace. We have about 5 minutes to go until the checkered flag falls on the warm-up session. This is a session that doesn't mean anything in terms of the actual order. It's just the last chance that the drivers get to test their race setups before we go into the actual race. So you've raced here, Cameron. What do you expect in terms of strategy, in terms of racecraft, and in terms of who you think is going to rise to the top?
Well, in Pro, we saw most people doing a one-stop strategy, a soft However, it is slightly on the limit, and do have to be quite careful because we saw a couple of people struggling in the later parts of the race. One thing to consider here as well is fuel, because as we saw, Georgie had fuel issues at the end of the race, because to overtake here you actually have to use quite a bit of force. There's quite a lot of long straights, but the corners coming onto them are quite difficult. So fuel management, I think, is going to be a lot more important than tire management. I'm sure we'll see most of the top, soft, medium, one stop, and anything other than that there's some issues.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We have now less than 4 minutes to go until the start of this race. In terms of strategy, as you said, we saw a lot of people going for one stops. The soft tires seem to last for quite a long time. So it was often that a driver would just run the softs for as long as they could go, and then switch to the mediums and just finish it with pretty much no problems. It seems that tires aren't really something to worry too much about here today. But do you still need to be quite conservative with things like the fuel that you use with the engine boost, and or do you have to be conservative with the tires?
Yes, you have to be, well, you don't have to be conservative, but you have to be smart, because if you're sitting behind someone, you're just going to burn up your tires. So you have to be careful how close you get towards people and how much you push, because we found in our testing, if you want to go like half a second a lap quicker, you just start using like 1% more tires. So there's absolutely no doing that, because then you're going to have to two-stop, and it's not worth two-stopping if you're half a second a lap. So it's those sort of things that you have to consider when pushing. So you sort of have to be smart rather than just go fast or go slow. You have to just judge how the race is going after this and then see. But it should be fairly okay for a one stop, say. But if you go a bit idiotic, then it's a two stop.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Yeah. So you do still need to conserve a bit, but not as much as at other tracks. 2 minutes to go now until the start of the ACE race. And in terms of the championship, we've worked out that Giordano Valeriano is in a very good position. If he wins and Schmidt is lower than 5th, then Valeriano will win the championship today. He will seal it. And Schmidt, I can't quite remember where he's starting, but it's not a great position. I'll have a look. I'll have a look now. Schmidt indeed is in 4th. So to be honest, he's right on that cusp there, and one mistake from Schmidt could seal the championship in Valeriano's favour. But you have to remember that for that to happen, Valeriano has to be pretty flawless today as well. But it doesn't really matter too much if Valeriano does not seal the championship today, because there are still 2 rounds after this one left to go, and as a result he still has plenty of time, and he has a rather large buffer at this stage. So although the championship isn't mathematically over yet, Valeriano's certainly looking good for it. You can never call it too soon, but you have to say his opponents might be getting a little bit desperate at this stage.
Yeah, it's a bit of a long shot for anyone else, really. Yeah, I mean, Chiappini, he's not here today, and that basically means he's not going to win championship, because he's more than 50 points behind. So even if Valeriano DNF, so yeah, it's literally only Schmidt who can championship now. Actually, I just realised that. So it's all down to Lucas Schmidt whether he can make this last another race or 2. So after this race, we have Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, and then 2 weeks after that, we have Interlagos, Brazil, for the final race of the year, which is always race at that track. So hopefully we can get some more racing down the line, and it's definitely not slam dunk that Valeriano is going to win this. I mean, Robin Panzar was mighty in last couple of races, and getting pole today by over 0.2 of a second certainly shows he's going to be fighting for the today.
So the drivers just making their way to the grid now for the start of the race for the formation lap. We are very close to getting this race underway. The ACE race from Suzuka, and Robin Panzer is already moving. So something went a bit wrong there. But anyway, he's back into position. He's moving again. Huh?
You are allowed to do, well, not really, are able to move, escape and come back in. So is he just doing a little bit of a practice start as he's on P1? He's got no one in front of him to do that, and now he pulls away to start this formation lap.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I was speaking over you briefly there because I on my screen no one else was there. It was just, I think there were about 3 people on the grid, and then everyone else loads in. So I was kind of panicking for no apparent reason there. But anyway, it's going to be Robin Panzer who starts from pole position after a fantastic qualifying lap. Following him, Jeffrey Fournier, then Giordano Valeriano ahead of his championship rival, Lucas Schmidt. David Mrocek is 5th, followed by Dylan Scrivens, Victor Ivanov, Marek Godek, Haris Parves, Adriano Opacini, Ton Van Egmond, Cheyenne Nayam, Yuri Siravatsky, George Chatsapantelis, Martin Branansky in 15th place. Remember that points go down to 15th in this series. And then following him, Mark Behrens, Arif Roslin, Kevin Morville, Kian White. Watch out for Kian White. He has a lot more pace than his position suggests here. White has 1 race in this series. He's only in 19th now because he didn't qualify due to a penalty. 20th place is Phil Kraus. Then it's Giuseppe Leno, and 22nd, another driver to look out for. 4th in the championship, Danny van der Neert. So, a couple of quick guys coming from the back. A couple of championship contenders together on the grid. Well, this is going to be a very interesting race, Cameron.
Yeah, when it gets to this point of the season, the championship is on the line. Even though we do have a couple of races left, so it's not quite as extreme tension, but it's still something really cool, and you can see if a driver can assume title ACE Champion 2018. So we need to see what Valeriano can do. But as I said, Robin Panzer on pole is looking good. So we'll have to see how that goes in the first few races. And Jeff Fournier, he's got absolutely nothing to lose. He joined halfway through the season. He's never going to win the championship. He just wants a race win. And he is sitting there 2nd place looking at a race win here at Suzuka.
Robin Panzer coming around the final corner to line up on the grid. He's about to get this race underway. This Formula SimRacing ACE Championship, round 10 of 12. He's going to start on the left-hand side of the grid, which is the outside line. So if the inside can get a good start, then it's not unlikely that we're going to see 2nd place leading into turn 1. But remember that the outside is where all the grip is. Panzer angling his car across the road. That's an aggressive line at the start. He knows he wants to come across and defend from Jeffrey Fournier. Now, what's the back of the field coming into place? Danny van der Neert is our 22nd and final car. He is going to line up right at the back. He stops in position. Now, we wait for the lights. Robin Panzer has the best view of them. When the lights go on and then extinguish, we will be underway. We have 5 red lights, and they start lighting up whenever everyone is ready. It's a long hold, actually. The tyres are going to be getting cooler by the second. And the lights are still not coming on. So obviously someone is still not quite in their correct position yet. In fact, Jeffrey Fournier, look at that. There's a lot of smoke coming out of his car. It's overheating. He wants the race to get underway as quickly as it possibly can. And go! Away we go. The race has begun. And Robin Panzer leads away. He was creeping slightly on the grid, though. And look at all the engine smoke as they head away from the start. There were many overheating cars there. Panzer leads into turn 1, followed by Fournier. And then Valeriano,
wow.
And there's a flip in the background. And there's a car upside down on the outside. Who was that? It was one of the flag-to-flag racing cars. It was Ton Van Egmond. Ton Van Egmond has flipped. Arif Roslin was involved. Phil Kraus was involved. They've all got going, though. And I'm afraid Ton Van Egmond is out of the race after being barrel-rolled out at turn 1. It's Panzer leading from Fournier, Valeriano, Schmidt, and Scrivens. Those are the top 5 as we head through the Degners for the first time. what a dramatic start. But everyone apart from the people right at the back is clean. I don't think there's... Oh, well, I was just about to say I don't think there's any damage to anyone else, but I'm afraid Adriano Opportuni is missing his front wing here, and he came together with George Chatsapantelis.
Yeah, it's unlucky for Tom Van Egmond. It looked like he just got rear-ended at turn 2 as it sort of slows down and tightens up as you come through there. But
it was a lag issue.
Oh, was it lag?
We heard Ton actually complaining about lag before the race began, and I'm afraid he lagged straight back into the car behind him. So that was a little bit unsafe and really quite unfortunate. But oh well. I mean, I don't mean oh well. Sorry, that came out wrong. It's a bad thing. Very unfortunate, but at least. Anyway, at the end of the first lap, Robin Pansar's leading from Jeffrey Fournier, then Giordano Valeriano, Lucas Schmidt, Dylan Scrivens, David Mrocek, and then it's Godek, Parvez, Ivanov, and White. Kian White sweeping through on the inside and taking Martin Branansky, who goes wide and loses several more positions. Actually taps Danny van der Neert there as we go up through the S's. But what a start from Kian White. He's made up
Branansky's gone off on the right. Wow, yeah, Branansky went off on the right. I didn't quite see that. I just closed my eyes for a second, and now he's off into the gravel, and he has gone down quite a few positions, taking out one of the Thrustmaster side. And that's P19 for him. Actually, yeah, not the best season that those Neosoft boys have had, but they got some points, and yeah, today's not their day either.
He was a little bit too aggressive on the throttle coming out of the first part of the S's, and ended up spinning around and into the barrier, I'm afraid. But he's rejoined the track in about 19th position out of the 21 drivers still remaining and the 22 drivers who started this race. The gap between Panzer and Fournier is still just over 9/10 per second. We might well be seeing Fournier in the DRS range when the DRS is enabled.
Oh wow, Marek Godek and Haris Parvez at the final chicane. Parvez got squeezed off on the left, and he is actually rejoined ahead of Marek Godek. I think he should probably at least give up some time there. So you're going into the final chicane. They were side by side. Godek seemed to squeeze Parvez off to the driver's left-hand side. Parvez went across the chicane and has... well, I think kept the position because Godek was going for the overtake, but no, Parvez has let Godek through there. That is good for him. There should be no penalty for any sort of advantage there because he's given the place back. That's good on Harris there, the pro champion last year.
Tell you what, though, he won't exactly be good friends with Godek at this precise second because Godek... Oh, look at Ivanov. Ivanov is a long way off through the Dunlop curve there. He's gone right over the gravel. And how did that happen? It was just he just kind of ran over the grass, yeah, slightly wide, dipped a wheel onto the grass, and then there was no bringing that back. However, he's kept 9th position somehow. The car behind him is actually Kian White, which just shows what a great start Kian White has made to this race. But yeah, as I was saying, Godek and Parvez, Godek, yeah, they won't be great friends at the minute because Godek slightly forced him off there into the chicane. But oh, and we've actually lost Martin Branansky, so we've had another retirement there. It looks as if he...
Parvez going for round 2. Sorry, Parvez going for round 2. Oh, not quite enough room there. He was looking to do similar things to happen last time, but he wasn't quite close enough, and yeah, no contact or anything this time. And he actually had a few issues there last year with Michaeles and Wojciech Lukaszek, and he's going now down on the inside into turn 1, and he's got in there with the DRS, so that is Parvez up to 7. He had a few issues here last year with some other drivers. I think there was a penalty involved as well, so he knows how to race around the track somewhat. Oh, and that's him up to P7.
Yeah, I was. Oh,
big lag.
Yeah,
big.
Wow, we've lost a driver. Someone has been dropped. My word.
It was Jeff. I mean, I went on board with Jeff Fournier. I think it might have been just him, but he was lagging all over the place.
Oh, and we've had an incident behind as well. Phil Kraus is involved. Let's have a look at that. Was this caused by the lag issue? Yes, it was. It was Phil Kraus lagging back into the car behind him.
That is very unfortunate. Yep, that is very unfortunate.
Giuseppe Leno. Yeah,
Yes.
Giuseppe Leno getting involved.
Giuseppe, very unfortunate there. Yep, just seen a replay of that. Phil, yeah, quite unlucky. He's actually going across the chicane. His suspension is clearly heavily broken, and please, Phil, get it back to the pits nice and safely done. Stints, thank you. Yeah.
Leno is actually taking. He's taking the inside line, actually cutting both of the Degners here.
Oh wow! Look at his
Crawling.
suspension. That is
Crawling around.
That is mass damage, unfortunately for Lino. That is got to be a DNF, and hopefully he actually retires that car immediately, because there's no way he is doing anything in this race now that he has this much damage.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm surprised he's still continuing on, but he's trying to get it back. Although I've never seen a single-seater move that slowly before. Actually trying to get it back to the pits. But anyway, the gap between Panzer and Fournier, incidentally, is still half a second. It's still very close, as we've lost George Chatzipantelis. We saw him being involved in an accident earlier on. Oh, he's had another one all by himself out of the final corner. He hit that interesting bump that caught a lot of people out in race 1, and he's gone backwards into the wall. So that's Chatzipantelis out of the race, as Phil Kraus has made it back to the pits.
Yeah, good stuff, Phil Kraus. I'm not sure about Giuseppe Lino. He's on the inside of the spoon curve. He has really tried to get back. I think it's time that he presses retire. Maybe the race director get involved with that, because there's no point in him going around on the side of a track. It's back to battle for the lead. Jeff Fournier keeping up with Robin Panzer. Absolutely not letting Panzer get away with this, if he can do anything about it. Valeriano down in P3.
Now. Yeah, Fournier will have the DRS now. It's that stage in the race. Oh, big spin! Danny van der Neert and Cheyenne Nayan is involved as well. I believe they may have made contact. They did. It was through 130R. They tagged wheels. They both spun around, and Nayan has been into the barrier. He's lost his front wing. It looks as if... Oh, there's been another guy in the wall in the background. That's Kevin Morville, who had...
That was unlucky for Cheyenne. Kevin Morville, I think his engine died from the look of it, but Danny van der Neet was on the inside. Seemed he got all over the curb, hit Cheyenne. Couldn't quite see if there was enough room given by Cheyenne, but assuming there was, that was probably Danny's being on the curb on the inside. But unfortunately, that is racing and can happen. But yeah, not the best day for Danny, as you said earlier.
Yeah, he did. Meanwhile, Nayam and Morville are both out of the race from that. Van der Neert has continued, but his tyres will be absolutely atrocious by now. However, the battle for the lead, I should point out, is now less than half a second. Fournier right behind Robin Panzer here, and he will have the DRS again as they go towards turn 1 this time around. Surely Fournier is close enough to try something this time around. We'll have to see, but Fournier in the dark blue Oramila Grand Prix car behind the ACR engineering car of Robin Panzer, tucks right into his gearbox. He's not quite close enough. Still less than half a second separating them, but not close enough.
Seems like he's just saving some fuel at the moment. There was no sort of overspeed. He had DRS. I think he's just chilling right now, seeing what he could do with the strategy maybe. But yeah, that was certainly not looking like he was going to overtake Robin. But as you can see, the dirty air through these S's can be quite bad, so you really have to choose your moment and commit to the overtake. Otherwise, you're just sitting in this this dirty air behind, which actually isn't too bad. It's just enough that you can't quite easily get up to them. You have to decide, yes, I'm going, and a bit more. Is yeah, getting quite close into this hairpin. Quite close enough for any sort of overtake. He's definitely lining up Robin here, seeing that he's better, that he's worse, saving a bit at the same time.
Cameron, Giuseppe Leno has retired from this race.
Oh, finally.
Now, without looking, can you guess how far he made it?
130R?
He made it to the pit lane.
And then retired.
And well, yeah, it seems like he got going from his box, and the damage.
Sorry to cut you off, Jeff Fournier. Is he looking down the inside? Or he's just showing his nose there. He's like, you know, I'm here. I'm going for this win too. He's just teasing Robin here a little bit. And is he going to save fuel again? Let's get on board. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's much overspeed. A little bit more than last time. In a little bit more slipstream as he's closer. But yeah, he's definitely not going for the overtake. Just judging the situation as it goes.
Up through the S's now. Of course, we're not expecting the overtake to come in a corner. It will have to be along the straight. Of course, the pit straight is the place where we saw all of the overtaking in race 1, because that's where the DRS is able to be activated, the drag reduction system on the rear wing. But for now, Geoffrey Fournier just has to stick behind Panzer and then think about attacking later on in the lap if he can. Touches the grass slightly on the exit of the Degners. That's not going to affect him much. I tell you what, he really is doing a good job of following Panzer. It's difficult to follow a car in turbulent air, but he's sticking within half a second behind him for, well, he's been that way for pretty much 2 laps now. So Fournier and Panzer glued together.
Yeah, Fournier's got to be careful here because, as I said earlier with the dirty air, if you start being in the dirty air for too long, you will start burning tyres. And as I said, the tyres are pretty close. Actually, you might have a look here. This seems to be his favourite overtaking place. He's going to go down the inside, makes that move nice and cleanly, and I think he'll probably get DRS too, because the DRS detection is just before the chicane starts. And does he get DRS? No, Panzer actually does. Who obviously braking maneuver done, but Panzer cannot get him back into turn 1.
The DRS detection is actually on the exit of the chicane. You can see the white line there. That's the DRS detection line. But anyway, Fournier has got the move done. He's ahead of Robin Panzer in this early stage of the race. Panzer is second, and Valeriano, our championship leader, is in 3rd place. I should point out that Lucas Schmidt is in 5th place, and if he stayed there and Valeriano was able to overtake both Panzer and Fournier for the lead, which isn't unlikely, seeing as the top 3 are separated by less than 2 seconds, then Valeriano could claim the championship today. It's definitely not unlikely.
Yeah, Jeff Fournier seems to have bolted here a bit. He has gone purple in the first sector, half a second quicker than anyone else, and he's making a bit of a gap here to Robin Panzer. So maybe he's decided, this is my chance, this is what I to go and do if I'm going to win this race. But the pace is actually looking pretty good compared to pro times that we saw earlier. So these guys certainly have some good speed. I wonder actually if anyone is going for a 2-stop strategy, because if so, you are going to be pitting in X sort of laps. Say you to go more than lap 12 if you're doing a 2-stop strategy. So maybe this is Jeff Fournier opening up the fuel mixtures a little bit, trying to gain a bit of time. However, Panzer is not letting him go away. Similar times in the sector.
George Chatzapantella says the reason he retired was because he had rear suspension damage, which caused his spin. He picked those up on lap 1. That makes sense. He was involved in the instance on lap 1, so just an unfortunate situation for George there. And yeah, it's a shame, but hopefully you will have better luck next time out, George.
George has not had the best year at all. By any means, and I'm sure he's going to try and come back better. He has shown some promise over the last couple of seasons. Unfortunately, hasn't been to much of it, but hopefully one day you can sort out a couple of issues and you'll top.
Interestingly, Robin Panzer is now already over a second behind Geoffrey Fournier. So Fournier has done a great job of pulling away from Panzer already, cutting off his DRS, and now Fournier only really has to worry about himself. You know, he only has to worry about his tyres and his driving, and he doesn't really have to worry about anyone behind him so long as he doesn't make any mistakes. Well, as I say that, actually Panzer does pull it back into DRS range again, but I don't think he's going to stay there for long. So Fournier still needs to have his wits about him for this early stage. Although, if he can start to... Actually, he's really not pulling away. Panzer's back to less than 0.7 of a second behind him. I
wonder if this is a case of different setups, because the whole second half of the laps is straights and the whole first half of the laps is corners. We've seen Jeff Fournier being very quick in the first sector. Maybe he's got a better higher downforce setup, but struggles a bit on the top end, which is why Panzer can bring it back and get into that all-important DRS zone down the main straight, because we do only have one DRS zone here down the start-finish straight. So if you want a DRS, you really have to be quick coming out of Spoon down into 130R to be able to stay within that if you are not so quick elsewhere.
Yeah, that's interesting. But Panzer now 8/10 of a second. So yeah, I think you're onto something there. I think you might be right with that. With Panzer losing a lot of time in the first sector and then gaining it back in the second and third sectors. That seems to be how it's
Oh,
it's
Jeff
working.
Fournier had a bit of a wiggle coming out the Spoon corner, and that has let Robin Panzer gain about 0.3 of a second. He's going to be well into the DRS zone this time. If he uses a bit of fuel here, maybe he can sneak and overtake down into turn 1. But no, he's lifting into the chicane, if I heard that correctly. That's interesting, saving a bit more fuel, and he's very close here actually. If Jeff Fournier does not use some mixtures, this could be an overtake for Robin Panzer coming up. He's gaining, and he's gains about 3 car lengths away. He's pulling to the right. Oh no, he lifts. So he's happy just to stay behind right now, trying to force Jeff Fournier to a mistake.
I tell you what though, I said that Fournier only had to worry about himself making mistakes, and he did do so. That was more than just a little wiggle. He was right over the opposite side of the track to the side he was supposed to be on. It was a very big mistake from Fournier. That would have cost him close to a second. And he's lucky that he wasn't passed there by Robin Panzer. It was certainly close, but Panzer in the end lifted off and settled for second. He is running his own race here. He knows that they're treating this race slightly differently, but he has to be careful now because Valeriano and Scrivens are chasing him down. In fact, it's almost a three-way chain there for second place now. Possibly even a four-way chain for the lead. In fact, looking at it now, Lucas Schmidt in 5th place is only about a second, 0.1 or 0.2 behind Dylan Scrivens. So we could well have 5 for the lead in this early stage. We're 11, almost 12 laps in now, and indeed, I think we have a DRS chain of at least first back to 4th. As Fournier pits. Fournier is in the pits.
2-stop. That has to be. Yeah. Let's have a look. Get mediums. It's gonna get. That is. It's quite a lot of laps to do. Tires. 7 laps. Yeah. It's 28 laps won't. Jeff Fournier. Someone who's impressed me a little this race is Scrivens. He has a quite a busy schedule. Life skating, racing that many events, but when he does, he's quite a good driver. And today he's a Bema racing team, and it's good to see him up there.
Yeah, Scrivens is a pure competitor. If he's not champion in one thing, he'll be champion in another thing. He certainly knows what he's doing when it comes to a competitive atmosphere. But yeah, Scrivens really hounding Giordano Valeriano now for second place. With Fournier, he definitely seemed to pit surprisingly early, but that's probably why he was pushing so hard in the opening stages of the race, because he knew he was going for a 2-stop strategy, which is quite interesting. Not many people went for a 2-stopper in race 1, and of course the winners ended up on a 1-stop strategy. So for Fournier here, unless something's different about this race, I'd say it's a big mistake.
Yeah, no one else has followed him in, so it is him and only him that is doing this 2-stop strategy. Now, he's got to push a lot, basically, because he needs to make up a whole pit stop, which is plus 20 seconds. So, over the whole race, that's half a second per lap on average. And after 14 laps, he was a total of 1 second ahead of Robin Panzer. So he needs to make up another 19 seconds, or probably a bit more than that, over the next 26 laps. So he's got to be over, almost a second a lap quicker. It's a bit of a tough ask. If he was 5-10 seconds in the lead, then maybe, but only being 1 second in the lead or Robin Panzer, then yeah, it's going to be very difficult for him. But we will see how that unfolds. He is going for his first win in ACE.
So after 13 laps of racing, it's Panzer leading from Valeriano, Scrivens, Schmidt, Parvez, Mrocek, Ivanov, Godek, White, Fournier, Van der Neert, Siravatsky, Rosland, Behrens, and Kreis. Those are the drivers currently on form for points. And there's only one other driver still in the race, and that's Adriano Opportuni, who has just pitted, so he might well be going for a two-stopper as well. But it seems to me like pretty much everyone who finishes this race is going to score points, and all we need is for one more retirement to mean that every driver who finishes scores points. It's definitely worth finishing this race, no matter how disappointing the race has been so far. And I'm sure that's what that's the attitude we saw from Giuseppe Leno earlier on, even though that could have presented a safety hazard.
Let's have a look. So Jeff Fournier, to be fair to him, he's gone purple on that last lap, over a second a lap quicker than cars in the lead. He did a 31.4. Cars in the top are doing mid-ish 32s. So yeah, it's about a second a lap quicker, but he's got to do that every single lap to the end of this race to be able to fight for this lead. It's not out of the question, because I assume he will take soft tyres towards the end of this race, which means he'll be on brand new soft tyres when the leaders are on fairly worn old tyres. But having said that, Robin Panzer, purple in the middle sector. 6/10 quicker than Giordano Valeriano. Maybe he's starting to push a little bit. You're going to do... Oh, he's come in. Oh, lap 15. Okay. This is a bit of a weird one. This is going to be a bit of an ask if he goes onto the medium tyres. 25 laps will be a bit of an ask on those medium tyres. So maybe this is somewhat in response to what Jeff Fournier is doing. What does he take? He takes the mediums. Okay. It's tight.
It's doable.
It's doable, but it's going to be tight when we're talking about the lap speed that he's going to need, considering Jeff Fournier's pace advantage that he's going to have later on in the race. And someone else in the back pitted. David Mocek. So yeah, 2 ACR guys pitting early. Maybe this is just their strategy, but that is certainly an interesting one, because it's sort of in between a 1 and a 2 stop.
Yeah, we definitely see the ACR drivers here thinking they can go a very long way on those mediums. That's what they're trying to do here. Also in is Mark Behrens trying a similar thing. Is that the harder compound of tyres put on? It is. So Mark Behrens feels like he has to do the same thing, but doesn't think the medium's going to make it. So Behrens puts on the hard compound of tyre there on that halo-wearing Formula Sim racing car.
Yeah, hard tyres should easily get 25 laps as well, so I'll be to the end, but depends about the pace he can get out of those tyres, because obviously they are the slowest, hardest tyres we have available this year in sim racing. Dylan
so
and
Giordano Valeriano leads this race from Dylan Scrivens. The gap is just less than 0.8 of a second, although neither of them have pitted yet. Talking of pitting though, in comes Lucas Schmidt, one of the championship contenders. He is in, as is Harris Parvez. This is the stage in the race where strategy really comes into play. Marek Godek is in. So we have several drivers here going onto those tyres. Watch Jeff Fournier. He's just passed Kian White into turn 1. Those two are on different strategies, because Kian started the race on the medium compound of tyre due to starting near the back. Anyway, Jeffrey Fournier has just emerged from the pits, and he has passed Kian White there for 4th in the overall order at the minute, but effectively they're not actually racing each other for position at all.
yep, Kian still owes us pit stop, so he is going to be a bit further down the order once he finally makes that. But obviously, being on the medium tyres, he could probably go another sort of 5 laps if need be, if he can get them out. And yeah, he's won a race this year. In fact, he won 2 races, but then he got a post-race penalty, so he lost one of his wins after also getting some wins at the Pro Championship. So he's certainly a very quick driver, just unfortunately had a back of the grid penalty today. What do these two Misto and Spema cars do? Sister teammates do. Oh, Valiano went in and almost caught out Dylan Scrivens, who takes the lead of the race. This is Dylan's first time leading a race, I think since Silverstone last year, if I remember rightly. And Valiano has pitted. What tyres does he take? I assume mediums. Yep, he takes the medium tyres. But where does he come out? So Jeff's gone past. So is that Robin? But can Lucas Schmidt get past him into turn 1? No, he cannot. So that is P5, Giordano Valeriano. Still got Lucas Schmidt behind, but Lucas Schmidt, I'm sure, to get that overtake done to try and keep the championship ever in his favour. Well, more in his favour. Still quite far behind.
I tell you what, there was definitely a squeal of brakes from the car of Dylan Scrivens as he saw Valeriano pitting in front of him. It was a close call. Well, less of a squeal of brakes. There was a tap on the brakes, of course, from Dylan Scrivens. I've raced Scrivens myself, actually. He's a very quick driver. I remember one race which was very wet at the Red Bull Ring, where he was lapping me. I was given the blue flags, tried to get out of the way, aquaplaned and crashed straight into him. But anyway.
Sure he loves you for that one.
He still went on to win the race, so it didn't cost him too badly. Anyway, he's pitting now, so into the pits comes Dylan Scrivens. He's going to surely go onto the medium component tyre hit because he's on the soft, and you have to use two compounds of tyre in this race. Indeed, he puts on the medium compound. Gets going. Jeffrey Fournier's gone through.
So does Anzar, but where is Valeriano compared to Dylan Scrivens? Looks like he's got some overspeed. Dylan might get him to turn 1, but not quite enough. So yes, Dylan back into his position behind Valeriano, and that is Lucas Schmidt just behind them as well. But Jeff Fournier is leading. However, we are pretty certain he needs to make another pit stop. He needs to make use of these fresher tyres while he still has them. Having said that, if he is going to softs on at the end, he's still got to go another 12 laps or so. It's going to put softs on at the end to make use of speed. We'll have to see what he does. And Robin Panzer in this weird place in P2. Not quite sure what strategy he's doing. Still quite a lot of uncertainty in this race so far is going to happen.
What Fournier actually needs to do is push like heck, because he's going to be losing a lot of time in the pit lane here. So he needs to make it up on the track, and that is very difficult to do. He needs to be flying. He needs to be making no mistakes. He needs to be smooth and controlled, but at the same time blisteringly quick. And we've seen that Fournier can do that, but can he do it to a good enough extent that he can salvage something from this race? I would say that a win is looking very unlikely for him at this point, because he's only 3 seconds ahead of Panzer, who is also flying and actually gained a lot of time in there. And in fact, Fournier just pushed far too hard and had a big slide going through turn 1 and missed the apex by miles of the second. Missed a second apex by miles there.
Harris Parvez gets past Victor Ivanov down into turn 1, and looks like that David Mocek trying to get past as well, but not quite enough room for him to get through. Harris Parvez making his way up into 7th place. I think Victor Ivanov is actually on a slightly... It's not Victor Ivanov, actually. That's Danny Van Der Neet.
Yeah, it's Danny Van Der Neet.
Is Danny in Victor's car? Yes, he is. That confused me. That is Victor's car with the pink wing mirrors and the Ayrton Senna helmet, but for some reason, Danny accidentally chose that one when he got in the car. So yeah, that is actually Danny van der Neet that Harris passed going back into turn 1. Danny down into 8th place.
Yeah, they do seem to both be driving the same car. They're both the number 42, which is interesting. So I don't think that's a disaster, but it's a little bit confusing. Anyway, it's Danny van der Neet in 8th position. Victor Ivanov is in 10th place at this point, but that's the way around that they actually are. I'm just looking now. Lucas Schmidt is really getting held up by Kian White. He won't like this, seeing as White is on a very different strategy to him. And look at Scrivens now on the back of Valeriano. This could well turn into the battle for second overall. Meanwhile, Schmidt passes White. That's going to be a breeze with the DRS. He gets through. As meanwhile, Rodger passes van der Neet. But it's all about Scrivens and Valeriano here.
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do, because obviously they are sister teammates. So they are collectively under the same ownership, but they are two different teams. Valeriano he's in no rush to win the championship, as he knows he only has one competitor now, Schmidt, who is actually mathematically possible to win. So he's in no rush, and obviously Dylan is going to want to get a good result as well for the Suburban team. So I wonder if they don't stop Dylan having a go at Valeriano. That'll be nice to see, so that Dylan can try and go for the highest position possible. That Robin Panzer is up the road a little bit, so maybe 2 is a bit difficult for Dylan right now, but hopefully he does battle Valeriano. It's P3.
You know the fascinating thing I've just noticed about those two identical number 42s? It's that they both have different steering wheels. But anyway.
Yes, that is the personal preference. As you choose the car in the tuning menu, you choose whether you want small or large shark fin. And you could choose if you want thumb nose or the traditional rounded nose. And the third option is the steering wheel. As you can see, Victor has the Williams steering wheel and Danny has the McLaren steering wheel.
They do also have slightly different front wings as well. But anyway, what I was going to say about them is that they both just swapped places. Ivanov has got ahead of Danny van der Neet. Van der Neet let him through. It was a team order decision. Obviously, because they're on different strategies, van der Neet didn't want to hold up Ivanov. So that's good team playing there. And now Ivanov is up into 9th ahead of van der Neet in 10th. We're now on lap 22 of this race, and it's Fournier leading from Panzer, Valeriano, Scrivens, Schmidt, White, Parvez, Mrocek, Ivanov, van der Neet, Godek, Suravatsky, Roslin, Behrens, Opportuni, and Kreis. That's over halfway through the race now, and still all drivers running are on the same lap.
Oh, did Opportuni get back on the lead lap? Because he was a lap down early on, so obviously with the pit stops, managed to get himself back on the lead lap, and he's being battled with Pras for that last points paying position. But as we can see in the background, Jeff Fournier is coming up to lap them in a few laps time. I would assume it's best to not be lost in this race going to turn 1. Yep, the Frenchman is still in this race. Gap to Panzer's come down a little bit actually in the last couple of laps. So you would hope that these are both doing a 2-stop strategy. Otherwise, Jeff Fournier is definitely not making this work at all.
The first second stop, if that makes sense, has just taken place. It's Marek Godek, and I tell you what, he's going to try to do 18 laps on the soft. Well, it is doable.
Ooh.
Oh, and he has really bad suspension damage.
18 laps is doable. We saw Dylan Scrivens do that, but wow, he is crabbing all over the place. How is he still going with that car? Wow.
Yeah, sooner him than me.
That looks like quite an interesting car to drive right now. Coming out the pit lane, he was going sideways, but his car was still going in a straight line, which looked very weird. But he is trying to get some points this afternoon, and at the moment, it seems like he's not in a dangerous situation like Giuseppe Lino was. So hopefully safe. But yeah, wow, he is a few degrees out. Like the actual car body is a few degrees out going down the straight. That toe is all out of place for Marek Godek.
Just
Actually
saw
for him.
just saw a very daring move up the inside of 130R by Phil Crace. That's for the final points paying position, and the battle not to be last as he passes Adriano Opportuni. Meanwhile, Kian White makes his second stop. He's coming in. He has 17 laps to do on the softer compound tyre to finish this race. There he goes, and White now rejoins the race. Actually, that's his first stop, isn't it? Because he started on the medium compound tyre. So this will be White's effective position, as behind him Van der Meer also stops, and White is 9th. Arif Roslan pits as well. He is on the mediums now, and to be honest, his suspension isn't looking great either. I mean, it's not as out as Godek's, but still pretty battered. As Roslan pits, go onto the softer compound of tyre, and then he will be on his way again. I'm looking down the order, and I think some of the battles still to look out for are at first versus second, as well as third versus fourth, and then at sixth versus seventh as well. In fact, Godek, I said his, well, we were both pointing out how bad Godek's suspension was. He has now retired from this race. Oh, he had a separate accident. So Godek, with that terrible suspension, lost it through the S's and went into the barrier. And I'm afraid that's the end of his race there. And let's face it, we saw that coming. Pansar is now back in DRS range of Fournier up the front of the order. He's now back in DRS range. The battle for the lead is still on as the race continues. Although remember, Fournier still has to make another pit stop. So to be honest, this really isn't the battle for the lead at all. Pansar's got it, but now Fournier is in his way, and Pansar has to get past him again. Fournier, well, unless that is Fournier can do 30 laps on the medium set of tyres, which is pretty much impossible. But anyway, Yuri Servatsky just pitting there, going on to softs to the finish of the race here. But still, I'm interested in Fournier versus Pansar. How much time do you think a car loses from going through the pits as a whole?
It's about 20 seconds, maybe a couple seconds more than that, depending on how quick your pit stop is. But it's about 20 to 22 seconds, I think, if I remember correctly. So it's actually not too bad. Sometimes it's nearer 25 seconds. But it's actually Pansar having a look here into turn one. Yes, he is. Pansar is going for the lead into turn one. That caught me by surprise. I didn't think he would go for the overtake right now, but he's clearly thinking this is the time to bolt. So to me, this says Pansar is going to make a second pit stop. Now, that is high risk. He's only 5 seconds ahead of Giordano Valeriano. If these guys are going to the end, I'll be highly surprised looking at the pace that they have had and how they have been battling throughout this race. But yeah, it's about 20 seconds lost. So if these guys pit now, they'll be looking to be behind Viktor Ivanov in P8. So they'll have to overtake about 6 cars to win the race. So these guys should probably focus on staying out right now.
I don't think you're right in saying that it would have to be a 2-stop from Schmidt. He's definitely pushing. Or Pansar, rather, not Schmidt. But he pitched on lap 16, so 24 on the medium does sound doable. It's just that Fournier pitted even before that. In fact, Fournier pitted, when was it? Lap 13. So it's going to be close for both of them, actually. But anyway, Pansar in the lead for now, and we'll see how the strategies play out as the race continues. But yeah, it's Pansar from Fournier, and we expect Fournier to pit. We query whether Pansar might. But then again, it might well be that they both do or they both don't. We're not entirely sure. Look now at third place. Scriven's going to the inside with his bright pink helmet. goes past Valeriano and takes 3rd place. I tell you what, that could be a crucial move in this race, because if the tyres of the drivers in front go off, that could well turn into the move for the lead. That could well be the move of the race, and that was vital for Dylan Scrivens. He's finally pulled it off, and Scrivens, with that very deep pink helmet, I should say, is now up to 3rd position in the number 22. So Giordano Valeriano, who is leading the championship at the minute, is in 4th place. 1 position behind him is Lucas Schmidt, his main championship rival. He, to be honest, at this stage in the championship, will still probably be pretty pleased with this result, because Schmidt will be losing points to him. His buffer will be extending, and he will be in a very good situation where he can pretty much definitely seal the championship next time out if he finishes like this. Next time out, of course, will be round 11 of the championship out of the 12 rounds that we're going to end up having in this series, and it's going to be at the Circuit of the Americas. It's going to be the United States round. Meanwhile, Fournier stops again. His brake disc glow as he boxes, and I tell you what, that's a lot earlier than I expected. He's now going 13 laps to the end, as also in his Adriano. Oh, wow, that was close. Adriano Opportuni there has to brake hard to avoid the back of his car.
And Scrivens, sorry to cut you off, Scrivens has been passed by Giordano Valeriano as well.
Contact!
So, who?
Gosh, that was close. Yeah, you're right. Scrivens there and Valeriano. Oh, Scrivens made a mistake. He got over the curb midway through turn 1, and Valeriano got alongside him. They made contact going through the 2nd corner there, and now Valeriano is ahead of Scrivens, which again could be pretty dramatic in terms of this race. Remember, Fournier only pitted 4 laps before Pansar did, and Fournier has pitted now. He's left 13 laps left in this race. It might well be that Pansar follows him in a couple of laps. I actually wouldn't be surprised, which would give Giordano Valeriano the lead of this race. Now, when did Valeriano pit? He pitted on lap 18, which is... and when did Pansar pit? That was lap 16. To be honest, everyone at the front's in pretty much the same boat here. So this is a very interesting race in terms of strategy. Either everyone's going to do 2 stops or no one is.
Jeff Fournier trying to get around the outside of Harris Parves, and yeah, well, Harris sort of backed out of that one a little bit. He didn't try and stay side by side on the brakes. He just let Jeff Fournier go. So that's Jeff Fournier up into 7th place. But as I said before, that is now 6 cars he needs to overtake if he is to win this race. And he is, what, 21 seconds off the lead. So yeah, it's about 21 seconds for a pit stop, 22 seconds. So I don't think it's worth the 2 stop. He's going to need to be 2 seconds a lap quicker for the rest of the race to catch that time up. That is a big ask.
Either that or the others pit as well. So we'll have to wait and see what does happen. You have to remember, Fournier didn't really pit that far before the others at the front, and yet he pitted anyway. Sometimes 3 laps can make all the difference in this race, and that stop there wouldn't have been because his tyres went off. That would have just been to maximise this final stint here on the soft compound of tyre. So that's what he's doing now, and he again will have to push like heck. That's his strategy. Fournier is driving a very aggressive strategy today, and again, he can't afford to make any more mistakes. He's been making too many mistakes already. Let's watch Scrivens now as he exits the final corner. He's going to have the DRS as he chases Valeriano. Of course, he was ahead of him a lap ago, and then he made a mistake through turn 1 and ended up losing out to Giordano, but he's still right with him there. This is a crucial race between 2 sister teams, the Musto Racing and the Sabima Racing teams, both run by the same person and are effectively the same team. You can see the similarity in their liveries, especially from the rear with those red highlights on the air intake and the exhaust. And they're approaching a backmarker now as well. That'll be rFactor there. No, it isn't actually. It's Phil Crace. Is it? Behrens. Yeah, you're right there. It's oh, let's have a look at Fournier and Ivanov. They just went side by side into turn 1, and Fournier has got 6th position. He was behind him as they crossed the line. Now he's ahead of him. Fournier 6th, Ivanov is 7th. So Geoffrey Fournier picks off 1 car on his recovery drive. He's got 5 more to go up ahead of him, and 17.7 seconds. To be honest, unless there's another pit stop for Robin Panzer, he's not going to win this race. But he can certainly put on a show while he's trying. So let's watch Geoffrey Fournier. He's now chasing David Rodger, and he's going to pass him pretty instantly here. Look at that. He's got him on the exit, but not quite. He certainly had the much better exit to the hairpin. They're going to go side by side towards Spoon, and surely he's going to get him very, very shortly. He would have liked to have got him there. Again, much better exit. He has so much more traction coming out of the corners, and Fournier has passed David Rodger. Well, they're still together as they go down the straight, but Fournier pulls it in and takes the lead of the race. Can Rodger come back to him here? To be honest, I wouldn't if I was Rodger, and indeed he doesn't, as Phil Crace pits. The gap between him and Schmidt is about 9 seconds, so that's well, that's a second per lap he needs to gain, and we'll have a look at the gaps after every lap. However, Scrivens himself is stuck behind Valeriano. Those two are separated by about 6/10 of a second. Scrivens obviously has the pace here, but Valeriano is going to be defending for all his might because he has that second place for now, and here comes Scrivens, actually. He's going to the inside. Brakes later. Dylan Scrivens on the inside. Gets the place and goes up into second position. A good move from Dylan Scrivens. He's second now. Valeriano is third. And now Valeriano gets the DRS again as they had done the main straight, but he won't be close enough. Yes, Cameron? We're on lap 33 out of 49. So really not much time left to go in this race, just a couple of laps, and then it will all be over and we'll know the result. To be honest, it looks as if the guys at the front of the order have really committed to it now. They will not be stopping unless there's a drama. But I tell you what, that means Fournier will undoubtedly have the quickest car towards the end of this race here. Scriven's last lap was 1:31.2, and Fournier did a 1:30.6. So he's gaining a lot of time, but not quite enough. He'll need Scriven's, or I didn't mean Scriven's. I meant Lucas Schmidt, who's ahead of him, did a 1:31.4 actually. So. I tell you what, he was cost a second per lap behind Valeriano. He was obviously the quicker driver, and now he's ahead. He's got the advantage of the clean air, and he's suddenly absolutely flying. So fantastic lap there from Scrivens. He's pushing, although still has 3.2 seconds to gain on Panzer. Again, that's well, it's about half a second per lap now, which is, to be honest, it's doable. But anyway, Scrivens second from Valeriano in third, and a close fight for sixth as Ivanov goes up the inside of Mrocek and gets him into 1:30R. So Ivanov up to sixth now, ahead of Mrocek. We're just seeing the strategies sorting themselves out at this stage in the race. That's why we're seeing these late overtakes, and actually Mrocek's not going to let him go here. He's in the slipstream as Kian White meanwhile passes Harris Parves.
Actually, no, that's Phil Kraus. That's Phil Kraus unlapping himself from Harris Parves. Actually, I thought it was Kian White
right.
too. Obviously, they are in the same livery this race. Kian's car is white in the mod jet, but yeah, that is Phil Kraus unlapping himself because Kian is actually quite a few seconds, 7 seconds behind Harris Parves.
Yeah, you're right. That was Phil Kraus there, who pitted a lot more recently than Harris Parves, just passing him, and now he's setting about passing David Mrocek as well. Mrocek really struggling in these late stages. He's dropping a lot of pace, and Phil Kraus, I'm sure, will get him, but is a lap down. He's all Kraus is doing at this stage is trying to catch up to Mark Behrens on the hard tyres, and Behrens is on the exit of the corner he's in now. It's going to be, well, to be honest, that's too much of a gap, I think. We'll have to see, though, as now he's slipstreaming Mrocek, and he'll pass him into 1:30R. There goes Phil Kraus. Even if this does turn out to be a pointless quest, I'm sure it will be very entertaining. Phil Kraus there providing a very interesting race, even if it's not for position.
I tell you what, Dylan Scrivens was a half a second faster that lap, but he's lost some time in this, in the first sort of sector. But see what happens when the sector points come around. What was he faster? It's only bang on the exact same sector to the 10th. So I think it's a little bit of a stretch from Dylan Scrivens. He's got 4 laps and a half to go. So it's doable, but Robin seems to be conserving his tyres pretty well. Pace at the stage.
Phil Kraus just set a lap there, which was just 0.2 of a second behind the fastest lap of the race. He's flying there in his 14th position. He's still quite a long way back from Mark Behrens, but I tell you what a performance this has been from Phil Kraus so far.
Yeah, he hasn't had the best race, and he's just put on the soft tyres about 4 laps ago, and he's just going for it, isn't he? He's got nothing to lose. He's going to get a couple of points if he finishes, and yeah, just having some fun. He's now catching up to Victor Ivanov to unlap himself to 6th place man. Yeah, Dylan Scrivens just checked half a second again that lap. So yeah, not quite enough. Not quite enough. He needs to be a little bit quicker, but his tyres were obviously starting to hurt at this stage, having to push them so hard. Panzer can just sort of control the pace as it goes.
Yeah, the last lap from Scrivens, 1:30.6. The last lap from Panzer, 1:31.0. So gained 4/10 per second, and at this rate, he won't quite pass him, but he will get the DRS if he keeps closing in. So we'll have to see. And surely, if Panzer makes a mistake, he'll be right on him. Still plenty of, well, no, still not much time to go though. Time has really been ticking down and advancing. A battle I am interested in is Haris Parvez versus David Mrocek, because Mrocek has been losing a lot of time through the last couple of laps. Those inters, mediums rather, seem to have gone off rather quickly, and Parvez now is chasing him down. That's the battle for 7th position, and I think that's the one most likely to change in this race at the minute. 7th and 8th. I've been a little bit disappointed in this race by the advance of Cian White and Danny van der Meer. I thought they'd at least be half the way up the finishing order, but it doesn't appear. I mean, if we exclude the people who retired, it doesn't appear that they will be.
Yeah, Phil Kraus actually got on Networks cars things. Yeah, Victor Ivanov. So yeah, he's still in 14th place, trying to catch Mark Behrens, but yeah, Mark's a little too far actually. And all Mrocek and Parvez side by side in turn 1 and 2. A lot of wheel banging going on there. Mrocek's trying to hold it around the outside to go into turn 3 ahead, but no, Parvez holds it around the outside of turn 3 to get the inside of turn 4, and that's quite a nice move there by Haris, to be honest. A little bit of wheel banging, but sometimes that happens, and it's nice to see some hard racing here, even though it's only for 7th and 8th position. Still some points there to be gained, and Haris has actually had quite a few good results this season. Just hasn't done every single race like Dylan Scrivens, who's he's lost a bit of time now. Roman Panzer obviously saw the threat, pushed, did a 0.6 last lap. Dylan did a 0.9. So Panzer actually gained 0.3 of a second. We are coming to start the penultimate lap of this Japanese Grand Prix in the ACE Championship. And as it stands, Giordano Valeriano won't be winning the championship, but he's going to give himself a very, very, very healthy margin to go into the last 2 races with.
Meanwhile, we've just seen Adriano Opportuni retiring from this race. He came back into the pits and just retired the car, which is a little bit confusing, seeing as if he'd finished, he would have scored a point. But anyway, Opportuni obviously deciding that there's no more point, so retires the car from the race.
Yep, he literally just retired.
Yep, just pulled the car into the pits, and that's the lot. But anyway, you're right, we're on the penultimate lap of this race now. Robin Panzer is leading us around. Jeffrey Fournier surely will be kicking himself because he had a great opportunity to win this race, but couldn't make the strategy work. And if he'd gone for the safer strategy, I have no doubt he'd at least be in contention for the win. We might even be seeing a 3-way battle now between Panzer, Scrivens, and Fournier. But that's what could have been, and it didn't happen. So Fournier looks as if he's going to finish in 5th position here. Cian White and Danny van der Meer had disappointing days after their individual grid penalties, and couldn't really make up as many places as I expected them to. They're going to finish about, well, over halfway down the order of the finishing drivers, which is a little bit disappointing, but still an okay level of points.
Dylan Scrivens managed to get some time back on that lap. He's now 1.6 seconds behind. Robin Panzer did a 31.3 last lap. Scrivens a 30.6, so that was some 7/10 quicker. This is definitely not over for Dylan Scrivens, as seen in other series. Can definitely close up a lot on this last lap when that lead driver is struggling a lot on his tyres. He has gone some 25 laps on those medium tyres, which I think is the most that we've seen from the Ace and the Pro race earlier. So he is certainly pushing the tyres to their very limit, and Dylan is not giving up on this lead. It's going to be close to getting the DRS, but unfortunately there isn't really a DRS zone before the checkered flag, because it's just before the line where it opens. So he's going to push to try and get some sort of slipstream. Robin Pansar has only got the spoon curve and then the final chicane to navigate, where he takes a win in this Ace Championship.
Also, it looks as if 8th place isn't over yet. I told you Marocek was dropping back. He's under attack from Kian White now. But let's look at the leaders as they head into the final sector of this course. And indeed, it's going to be Robin Pansar who exits the final corner. He had to fight for this one, but Pansar wins it by 1.260 seconds from Dylan Scrivens. A very close finish, just like in the Pro race. And Valeriano claims 3rd place, extends his championship lead even further from Lucas Schmidt. 5th is going to be Jeffrey Fournier. Then Victor Ivanov will claim a 6th position here as he crosses the line now. Harris Parvez is going to be 7th as he fought his way past David Marocek at the... Oh, and in fact, talking of Marocek, him and White there finished just separated by 0.005 of a second at the end. Very close. Danny van der Neert is 10th. Yuri Siravatsky will claim 11th position from Arif Roslan. And then Mark Behrens and Phil Kraus, I actually saw fighting their way across the line as well. Separated by less than half a second in the end. But still 2 drivers left to finish, as Behrens and Kraus were a lap down. Siravatsky is going to be 11th position. Oh, Scrivens actually typing in the chat before a couple of people typing in the chat before the race is over. You're not technically supposed to do that. Siravatsky finishes. Arif Roslan is the only driver left to finish now. And Roslan locks up. Whoa, makes a mistake. Might have been getting distracted. Yeah, might have been getting distracted by the chat there, in fact. But anyway, Roslan exits the final corner and claims 12th position. So the order was Pansar, Scrivens, Valeriano, Schmidt, Fournier, Ivanov, Parvez, Marocek, White, van der Neert, Siravatsky, Roslan, Behrens, Kraus, and then we had some retirements: Opportuni, Godek, Nayam, Morville, Leno, Chatsapantelis, Branansky, and Van Egmond.
Yeah, that was quite a nice race. In fact, I have to say, Robin did very well on his tyres, going a few laps longer than I thought they would be possible at decent speed. Obviously, he had this track absolutely nailed, and he takes the Japanese Grand Prix and 25 points home. This also means Giordano Valeriano does not win the championship today. So we go down to America, Circuit of the Americas, to see if he can win at that circuit. But what a race it was in the end. Jeff Fournier trying a 2-stop, couldn't quite make it work, ended up in 5th place. The 1-stoppers of Pansar, Scrivens, Valeriano and Schmidt, all fairly decent races, especially Scrivens hasn't quite had best year, but he has made that work for himself today.
So what a fantastic race there. We've seen 2 fantastic races today here, in fact, including the Pro race. I assume you'll disagree with that, but anyway, with the excitement factor, they've both been fantastic. And we have one more race to go here today. We have the World Championship race coming up in just a few minutes. So don't go anywhere and be there for that. So yeah, a fantastic race meeting. And yeah, do you have any more thoughts before the broadcast is over?
Oh, just a very good race we had, and make sure you check us in 2 weeks' time for the final, the penultimate race of the season at Circuit of the Americas, where we might see the ACE Championship decided. But for today, later on, about an hour, we have the World Championship, the fastest drivers that we have in rFactor 2 go out for their race here. That's slightly longer race. That'll be James Kirk and Schultz there. Check us out in an hour for that. But for now, we'd like to thank you for watching and see you next time.
See you then.